Hi everyone, I'm Sky, and if you haven't met me before, I teach Course in Miracles and Theta Healing, and I wanted to make this video about the concept of faith because I have so many people ask me, what is faith? And then tell me that they don't have any. They say I lack faith. So I wanted to share about faith as a skill set, what it is, how you develop it, why it's important instead of being an idiotic thing to have, how it can really nurture you and create an amazing life beyond your wildest dreams and expectations, and how it's something that's essential for everything that you want to manifest, for everything that you want to create, for deepening your quality of life and your relationships with other people. So, faith is an emotional and a theological muscle. It's the ability to focus on what is your vision instead of, or what's God's vision and what's possible instead of what's actually happening. So, for example, let's say you're going through financial hardship. Faith is the ability to know that you have all the skills and all the abilities required to be able to overcome challenges. It's being able to look at your past and going, I've been homeless before, I've overcome it. I've been through abuse before, I've overcome it. I've been sick before, I got healthy. And based on my past experience, I can overcome problems and I can grow and learn as a person through problems. And therefore, I know that this ability to overcome that was put inside me by something bigger than me is going to make sure that I overcome in this situation as well. So, faith is the understanding that you can overcome the challenges that are before you. And it's also an understanding in the mystery of the universe. So, when you get deep into spiritual principles, they say that we choose our problems because we need their gifts. So faith is an understanding that everything you've created in your life, or everything God's put in your life, is perfect on some level. That everything is there because it needs to be. Like Louise Hay says in her book, You Can Heal Your Life, you would not have created this unless there was a need for it. Now, the fact that you've created something, whether it's poverty or illness or drama, or broken relationships, does not mean that it was the best way for you to meet that need. Okay, it just means that there is a need for it that you don't know how to meet any other way, otherwise you wouldn't have done it. Okay, so faith is an understanding that there's great growth and great learning that can be had from anything that you've created in life, even the darkest moments, and that when you keep your eye focused on your vision, that anything is possible. So faith is like the radar. It's not blind, it's visionary. If you think about an airplane and the clouds coming in around an airplane in rain, the pilot doesn't panic. The pilot turns on the radar of the plane. And this radar of the plane helps the pilot navigate through the cloud. So if you think about the cloud as fear in your consciousness, okay, fear, anxiety, depression, doubt, illness. For whatever reason, you cannot see. You can't see the sky, you don't know what's in front of you. And then you think of faith as the radar, which allows you to see, allows you to keep going in the direction of your vision and to know that you're on the right path to your country or to your destination or to whatever it was that God had decided was appropriate in your life. Um, Faith is the radar. And you wouldn't get in an airplane to fly somewhere without it. And it's the same thing. You don't get up and go into your day without turning on your faith, without making sure that you have faith in the right thing. Now, for the people that say to me, I don't have any faith, that's a misunderstanding of what faith is. Faith is a focus or a complete 100% belief in anything. The mind is a powerful muscle designed to focus on one thing or one belief at a time. So you can believe that your life is going nowhere, or you can believe that your life is going somewhere. Either way, you have complete faith in what you've chosen to believe for whatever reason. And faith is pretty powerful. So if you believe that your life is going nowhere, then that's what you create. Whereas if you believe that your life is going somewhere, you start to notice more opportunities. You start to attract people who are willing to give you a chance. You start to see what you're capable of doing and the skills you need to learn in order for good things to happen. So faith is a very powerful tool, both for negative and positive purposes. So faith is not um, a kind of devoid of corruption. There's lots of people that have faith in things that aren't good. You know, we have faith that people won't do well. We often have faith that people are going to fail. We often have faith in our own mistakes, in our own tragedy. So faith is something that you can't get rid of, I'm afraid. It's not something that you can do without because it's just the way the mind is. It focuses on an idea and what it believes to be true, it creates. What happens when you start having a conscious conversation around faith is that you then have a choice about how to use this focus that you were using anyway. So, our faith is a potent force, and we increase its power by increasing our belief in its power. Okay, it's not enough that the spiritual power exists. We have to have faith in that it exists in order to use it on our behalf. Faith affects our psychological and our emotional state, which really influences how we respond to what's happening. So, if I'm going through a difficult time in my life and I have faith that everything is for my good and that life loves me and that God loves me, the way I'm going to respond is much calmer. It's got much more integrity and it's got much more balance than if I believe that everything's going wrong and I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing. So I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to get depressed. I'm not going to freak out. And if I do, it's going to be for a much shorter time than if I didn't have faith in that life loves me and that God loves me. So faith greatly influences how you respond to the challenges that you face. So when you're sitting in front of a pile of bills and you don't know how you're going to pay them, or you're bound by creditors, or you've got the note from the doctor telling you that you're sick, and you're afraid of confronting the darkness that's in front of you emotionally, mentally, it's easy to fear that everything in your life is only going to get worse. And it seems that faith would only kind of be delusion. Okay. So faith is not about pretending that what's in front of you isn't happening. Faith is about being able to show up for what's happening and the challenges that you're facing as the most mature, in integrity person possible. Faith is not about denying what's happening. Faith is about understanding that everything that's happening is for your divine good and that there are forces in the universe, powerful forces that are on your side and that you can literally change anything, overcome anything, move mountains with faith the size of a mustard seed. So denial and faith are not the same thing. Faith is not about saying, you know, everything is okay when it's not. It's not about pretending a relationship is good when it's terrible or that your bank account is full when it's not. It's about allowing yourself to create a vision of what you want and then allowing that divine guidance to come in. Boom, 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 boom. This is what I do next. This is what I do next. This is what I do next. About how you show up so that you develop the emotional skill set, the spiritual skill set, the physical skill set required for you to manifest your greatest dreams and desires. But faith is not denial. So this in Course in Miracles, it talks about there being forgiveness to destroy. And I believe that there is also faith to destroy. It's this fake faith. And you see it a lot. It's like, yeah, I'm in debt, but I really believe everything's going to get better with no divine action, with no integrity, with no virtue, with no real understanding, and with a lot of resentment towards the situation. So the lack of enlightenment, right? Enlightenment, which means to bring understanding to or awareness to the situation, means that then it's faith to destroy, and they get stuck in that situation. They're like, oh, I had all these positive thoughts and it didn't change because they weren't ready to go to the next level of virtue or spiritual intellectual understanding or mastery. So when you ask the universe for something, for a miracle, for a manifestation, it takes this giant magnifying glass and it shows you where you're blocking love from entering your life. Because whatever it is that you want already exists in the universe, whether it's health, money, love, it already exists. It's just that our beliefs and our emotions can block, literally create energetic and metaphysical and electromagnetic walls to it manifesting in our life. So the universe shows you here's where you're saying you want love, but you're not allowing me to love you. Here's where you're asking me for something, but you won't let it in. So in the Course in Miracles, it says, I cannot take what you will not give to me. And that's the same thing with creator. We have free will, so God cannot take from you the beliefs that you will not give to God. So it's moving into that space of really acknowledging that faith is an understanding that if something has gone wrong in your life, like for example, in your bank account, you were having a lack of integrity around money and you weren't loving money, treating it with the love and the respect and the attention that it deserved. And because of that lovelessness towards your money, you manifested debt. And that requires you making a choice in your heart and in your mind to treat money differently, to bless the bills that you have to pay, to know your worth, to know that you're worth getting paid well for the job that you do. And that means knowing that other people are deserving of getting paid well. So seeing all of your bills as a request for appreciation instead of seeing your bills as someone trying to take money from you or take advantage of you or asking you for something that you don't have. It's learning to move into a deeper level of sharing and providing, because very often, especially when we don't have enough, we feel shame around not having enough, whether it's not enough for our partners or for our children or for the home that we want. And instead of breathing through that shame and giving that to a higher power, we then express it as fear or as blame, or as panic towards the other person, which is why so much of relationship stress is around finances. So faith is really about understanding that every situation is called into your life for a reason. So, for example, if you are lacking in money in your bank account, that's calling you to a higher level of financial maturity, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And that's for your highest good. That the more financial and emotional maturity you have, the more that will bless every single person in your life. It's the same thing with health. If you have an illness in your life, you're being called through the universe to get a higher level of emotional, mental, and spiritual maturity around self love, self care, and around your relationship with your body. If you lack relationships in your life or you're having tough time in your relationships, you're being called to a higher level of integrity in your relationships in your life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. And those calls to your greatness are the expression of faith. It's you understanding that the universe is not out to get you. The universe isn't testing you. It's just showing you the law of cause and effect. If you think thoughts of fear, those will manifest. Whether it's about your body, whether it's about your finances, whether it's about your relationship. But if you think thoughts of love, those will manifest too. And you can practice having consistent loving thoughts about any situation in your life. And as those thoughts increase, they'll gather momentum. So the more you have a thought that gather momentum, it's like they call about the wheel of karma. Or if you're in a car and it speeds up, and literally if you press the brakes, it keeps going. So it's the same thing with any thought. Your thoughts become your habits. So the more you practice loving thoughts about your body, loving thoughts about your health, loving thoughts about your relationships, loving thoughts and blessing every person in your life, the more it becomes a habit to do that. And it gathers momentum. And then before you realize it, you're manifesting health effortlessly at all times. You're manifesting money effortlessly at all times. You're manifesting your good effortlessly at all times because you've gathered momentum. And it's the same thing with negative thoughts. If you think negative thoughts all the time, eventually it becomes a habit, and then your faith in the negative outcome creates momentum. And then before you realize it, you're manifesting negative things without having to do anything. And that's just literally a law of physics, the law of momentum. What anything that goes into motion stays in motion until it's stopped by an opposite and equal force. And that's the force of love, right? Any fearful thoughts can be stopped by the force of love. And you can literally say, delete that negativity, delete that thought. And the universe gets that message. It's just you have to literally recalculate, refocus on something positive and keep doing those thoughts and keep doing those affirmations until that becomes your main habit and that becomes your main focus. But faith is not for people who are dumb. Faith is for people who are incredibly intelligent. It's literally creating a habit of resilience. It's creating a habit of emotional, spiritual, and financial maturity and of showing up at the deepest level in your life and knowing that you will fail as you step into your greatness, but that failure is part of a learning process and that it's so much better than not trying. That you really rather get over the embarrassment of failing sometimes and never grow into the person and the greatness that you're capable of being or the light that you are capable of being for this world. So faith is the knowledge that growth through love is the answer to all problems. And it's your focus on your bigger picture, on what you would like to manifest through love in your life, and your connection with that higher power practiced every single day. But literally, only love is real. So when you get deep faith, you understand that you can never get it done and you're never going to get it wrong. And that this profound law of the universe, this law of faith, is always working through you. So that if something that loveless happens in your life, that is not truth, that is an illusion. And this ability, this discernment to tell the difference between the truth and an illusion is an important point of spiritual maturity. Because if you can't tell the difference, then you don't know what to focus on. Because we as human beings are programmed, we're wired to focus on the truth. So when we get told every day, oh, you have to be realistic, and what it means is you have to be negative, that's not the highest truth. Yes, you have to take divine and action that's in integrity, but that's not the same thing as being negative. You can take very serious actions, and this is the thing. We have very serious problems in humanity. We have financial problems, economic problems, problems with health, problems with society, problems with the government. And these are serious issues that require deep and serious conversations. And you can't have deep and serious conversations from a place of fear. It just ends up being a screaming match. All you have to do is look at the governments to see that. So faith is required to give you that emotional musculature to step into the power to really not just ask a question, but to listen to the response and to know that fear dissolves in the presence of love. So half of Brené, if you guys haven't heard of Brené Brown, go and look up Brené Brown. She talks in depth about shame and fear. But literally 90% of blame when it's studied in a psychological setting is the discharging of emotional pain. So as you move away from fear, you really realize that when someone is accusing you or blaming you, they are discharging their own emotional fear. And if you get caught up in that drama, you can't see what's really happening, which is the cry for love. Or you get into fake love where you pretend that you love them, where really you're just pissed off at having to deal with their stuff and deal with their shit. And the truth is, you're not dealing with their stuff. You're dealing with your stuff. You're dealing with your inability to have faith in yourself and in humanity and another human being. You're dealing with your lack of compassion, your lack of patience, your lack of kindness. You're dealing with the places where you don't know how to love another person and get your own needs met. And that's where faith comes in, and also the spiritual principles come in and why they're so important, because you start to understand what's actually going on instead of this victim mentality of, oh, I always have to put up with other people's stuff. I'm really sorry, but there are lots of people in your life that have to put up with your stuff. You are not perfect, or we would not be here. We are made perfect, whole, and complete through our expression in this life, and your core self is perfect. But you're very human in this embodiment, and that means you have flaws. And how we grow is by loving each other and ourselves within those flaws. It's not by trying to be without flaws or pretending we never feel fear or we don't have any ego. It's by going deep into the vulnerability. Because, Brené Brown says vulnerability is the birthplace of creativity, innovation, and strength. And I believe it's the birthplace of love. Because without vulnerability, it's two masks touching. With vulnerability, it's might not be pretty, but it's two real people touching. And then you have an opportunity for a miracle. You have an opportunity for love. And that's what faith provides, because faith is a remembering that this other person is worthy of love, that they are God's love and truth, and that you are God's love and truth. And there's something really beautiful about other people remembering who you are when you've forgotten. And there's something really beautiful about remembering who someone else is when they've forgotten. Not from a spiritual, self righteous, dickish place, from a profound knowing that this is a good person and they're having a hard time or they're having a hard day. And they deserve love as they go through that. The same way that your angels never tell you to shut up and God never tells you to shut up. When you get into your divine self, you learn to really love people as they are and to know that you cannot walk in their shoes, that what they're going through is profound and important, and that there are real spiritual challenges that they're overcoming, no matter how hard it may be to be with them in those difficult moments. So faith is that ability to know the truth despite the illusion that's in front of you and to focus on that truth. And to know that when you focus on another person and you look at them the way you look at someone you love, you look at them thinking, actually, you know something? You are an amazing person, and you do have everything that you require to find the solution to the situation, and you're going to succeed. And you may be scared right now, but guess what? We should get t-shirts. We've all been in difficult situations and been scared. We've all been in difficult situations and thought that we weren't strong enough to overcome them. And we've all overcome those difficult situations, and that means you can do it too. And it might be 5 minutes from now, and it might be 5 years from now, but you're going to get this and you can do this. That energy, when our minds are joined, that faith in another human being's capacity to heal, to become better, is so powerful that they can feel it. You don't have to say anything. People say to me often that, their friends complain to them a lot. And I say, what energy are you holding for them when they bring you their fears? Because for me, my friends normally, even my partner, they don't complain for long. And the reason is that normally I make a conscious effort, and through prayer, I often say to Creator, please, help give me patience and strength and love for this person right now, to remind me that that's my purpose, is to love that person in front of me. And that's what faith teaches. Um, and they feel that. And it's what I want to feel when I'm stuck or when I'm in trouble or when I'm afraid. And we find it so easy to see our own wounds. When we make a mistake, we're the first ones to say, "Oh, it's because, this thing happened to me when I was younger. Oh, I didn't really mean it. It's because I was afraid. Oh, it's not really my fault." But when it's someone else, we're the first to kind of jump and be like, "Oh, they should have gotten over it by now. They're really immature. They have a problem." So having faith in another person and understanding that it's always easy to fix someone else's life. And it's because you're not doing it. Every single spiritual virtue takes practice, patience, commitment, prayer, meditation. And this may not be your first life with this virtue, and it may be theirs. So faith allows you to move into that space instead of thinking, oh my God, they're going to be complaining forever, or I'm going to go into this negative space, or do I really have to listen to someone else's stuff? You move into, isn't life perfect? And gratitude that you have the ability to be there for yourself and in others, and that God really makes sure that you're not alone and that other people are not alone when they're going through hard times. And that even when this person has forgotten who they are and forgotten their strength and forgotten what they're capable of, God has placed someone next to them that remembers who they are and knows that they're capable of overcoming their darkness or their fear and moving into their greatest light. And that's such a profound and beautiful thing. And this is what I'm going to leave you with. So, faith in the truth, which is that all people are capable and strong and good and that they can solve problems. Jesus and ascended masters and angels and God are not sitting up there going, oh my God, my mom, such a bitch. Oh my God, my best friend, such a dick. They're not looking at your husband or your child or your best friend and judging them and thinking that there's something wrong with them. They're looking at them and thinking, wow, this person's been through so much and they're still good most of the time and they're still kind most of the time and they still get up out of bed in the morning and make an effort and they're facing this extremely hard life, which most of us are in different ways. We all have our own crosses to bear. So, joining your mind with the mind of a higher power, whether you call that God or whether you call it Buddha or Jesus or prana or creator, doesn't matter. It helps you get their perspective because they know how to love that person and how to never abandon that person no matter what. And they know how to love you and how to never abandon you no matter what. And that's what faith is, it's a transcendence of abandonment. It's an understanding of how to be with someone through thick or thin, through better for worse, for sickness and health. Faith is the bridge, that journey without distance, from the mind to the heart of unconditional love. So it's a very important thing to master, and it's a thing worthy of your time and dedication. So I hope that helped you with your understanding of faith. Feel free to ask more questions under the video, and I will respond to the very best of my ability. Please bear in mind that I am still learning. I'm just sharing with you the thoughts in my mind and in my heart. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I have faith in you. Bye.